Kieran, Brandon, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on. How are you doing?
Yeah, good mate. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Bang on.
Right, come on, let's get into it then. So, who are the Sherlocks? For all our listeners that don't know about you, who are the Sherlocks? And take us back to how it started.
We're a four-piece indie rock and roll band. That's often what we got labelled back in day. So I suppose we are indie rock and roll. Sheffield-based, although Nas, guitarist, is actually from Blackburn. And his bassist from Rochdale, I think. Started in 2010, me and Brandon, original founding members.
Original.
Still here. Hopefully we won't get sacked, or we'll just walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working towards his fifth album, so I think we're quite proud of that, to be fair. Not really. You don't hear of many bands making it to the fifth album, and these last three, when this one comes out, we've churned out. So since COVID, I think we've just stepped on gas, really, and loving it more than ever.
Nice, and your brothers, right?
Yep.
How's that work?
Good. Alright, yeah, but we've grown up, well, obviously we've grown up together, but it's like, been in a band, like, we often say in interviews now, I feel like dinosaurs, because we've been in a band for like 15 years, which is, a band like ours is so full on, like, it's, as soon as we finish one thing, we're straight on to the next, really. If it's a tour or an album or a studio or whatever, like, we're just constantly at it. Sometimes, well, I've never got to a point where I've just looked back at what we've done. It's just always next thing, trying to climb ladder, and yeah.
I think I've been in a band longer than I am to this point. Started in 2010, it's 15 years now, and I'm only 29, so big part of.
Did growing up then? What was your upbringing like? Was that music orientated? How did you get into music?
I think it's always been there with my dad. It weren't obvious up until we started showing an interest. We'd always just like, well, we grew up pre-phones, or I used to just knock about with him and as mates, and if anybody needed to get in touch, just ring him. I didn't have a phone.
Yeah, my phone, it was like one of them first phones, you know, where it was like, there's no on it, just straight up, brick.
Snake,
Nokia.
3310.
Charge it up once, lasts about 3 weeks, one of them, but...
Yeah, making ringtones a bit.
Yeah.
Just something to do. But yeah, we grew up playing football and just sliding down hills on pieces of plastic and crap like that when it rains. Just normal stuff. Play football till you couldn't see ball. And then, I don't know how old I was, just maybe year 5, year 6, I started showing an interest in wanting to play guitar. And then that Christmas, got a guitar, he got a drum kit, and then didn't really look back since then.
So we're at a case of then getting some coaching on the instruments, or you self-taught, or because you can sing as well. Is that just a gift that you're born with, or
I certainly can't sing.
With guitar, I think a lot of kids do this. Like, I want an electric guitar, which is what I said, and I can remember my dad. Because I came in one day, my dad was just on a Stratocaster, like a knockoff guitar, and I think that just sparked something in me where I like.
So can your dad play?
No.
Well, we were just having a go.
No. Yeah, just twanging strings and just trying to could play a couple of chords eventually. But yeah, I showed an interest in that, and I think my dad was like, if you get some lessons, I'll get you a guitar. And then weirdly, fast forward a month or so, at my school, they started advertising them, so I just went straight up after an assembly and just said, like, stick me on this kind of thing. And then, that Christmas I got a guitar and he got a drum kit.
With drums, like, I had the same thing at school. I never really took an interest in it. Then I started doing these drum lessons at school that were like free drum lessons, and they were like 20-minute, I can't remember the name of the teacher, but 20-minute lessons, and it started teaching me all these like patterns, like, and I'm thinking, I can't be doing with this. Like, at a point, we were like listening to like Milburn and Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that, and I'm thinking, I just want to play tunes, I don't want to be learning all these patterns and stuff, so I stopped doing that. And then I think I did have a couple of proper drum lessons, and it was the same kind of thing. It got to a point where I'm just learning these patterns, and I was learning more with the band, just doing stuff, like just jamming stuff out, than I was at the lessons. So I never had any interest in doing my grades or all like that. So
self-taught then.
Yeah, so I'm definitely ain't got a grade, but it was the same thing. I ended up just going to my teacher, drum teacher at times, saying, "Can I learn this song?" or "Can I learn this song?" Because at this point we were playing pubs and clubs at weekends, so I was like, "Oh, can you just teach us that or teach us that?" rather than trying to learn like the actual grades.
I think the more people I talk to, especially in business, the people I talk to on this podcast especially, they haven't necessarily studied what they're doing. You just sort of find and feel your way. And I think it's passion that overrules that learning and studying. Obviously they go hand in hand, but there's something to be said with it, just passion for picking something up and running with it. When did it turn into a band then? So you've both got your instruments. I'm just trying to picture you going back. You both got your instruments. You might, I suppose, you're playing together. When does that turn into the Sherlocks?
It must have been end of 2009.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Except first band we had were probably me, you and my dad just jamming at conservatory.
Yeah.
We just used to go in there and just...
Yeah, earlier then, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, because the band officially started. We never actually said, do you want to be in a band? But I suppose looking back, it was like the summer of 2010 is when we started learning like Strokes covers and
what else
the
we
Jam
play?
and stuff like that. But we got like not serious, but we started treating it as like right our tunes from like 2013, 14. That's when the switch from doing covers, because by this point we ended up like doing a load of covers and sticking 4 or 5 of our own in, sneaking them in kind of thing, and then I think we just got a little bit bored of doing covers and just thought let's try doing his own.
And how did you get out there then? So you gigs and pubs, did you say? And
Yeah,
we used to literally just do like pubs and clubs like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like every weekend. Like literally every weekend, and then we'd even like on bank holidays and stuff. We even got to a point we were that relentless. We were doing like gigs, like in afternoon on a Sunday. Then we go to another pub and play at night time as well. So we were just doing like free. We were definitely doing 3 gigs a weekend. We had this calendar up on the wall, didn't we? You remember?
Yeah.
And it was just wrote, and they were all like little pubs, just like pubs and clubs. That were it. And we did that for about 2-3 years. And I'm literally mean like every single weekend we'd be gigging.
and sometimes jam nights in between for a week, like Wednesday night, nip out to a jam night or something.
Yeah, we go to like one at Doncaster, and then we go to one at York, and we're still at school at this point, so then we'd get in late, and my dad, who were driving us about, was still working at this point, so we were really relentless. To be honest, I can't think of any bands who were doing what we were doing.
We did a few dotted around here as well, you know, is it Railway coming down?
Yeah.
And
Halifax Road.
at New Barrack Tavern, that was like his first proper gig in Sheffield.
We just tried everything. We were just like, we didn't really even have a goal at that point, did we? We were just like playing. We just want to get his name out, and we were just gigging like I said, jam nights Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then we were gigging Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then it started again.
That's what I'm going to ask you. So, what was the reason for it? Was it just pure love of doing it, or did you get a bit of revenue? Were you getting paid for these gigs? What were the desire? Was it we need to do this to hit this level? What were the motive? Or did you just have a feel for something, getting a good reception and running at it?
I think it was. To be honest, it certainly weren't money at that point, because we did start getting a little bit from like doing pubs and clubs, but like between us four, it'd have been like 30-40 quid or something like that a gig. But when you're doing them 3 times a weekend, it did add up for like kids. Like, it'd be like, oh, all right, but it would never money. It would just like, let's get his name out, build the band. And then we got it to a point, like in our local area, we were doing like, sometimes there'd be like 300 people coming to watch us in like these pubs and clubs, and we thought we got it to a point where we couldn't have got any bigger in our area. It was like, how do we branch out now? And that's when we started trying to go to Sheffield, because where we're from, Bolton-on-Dern, it's like the smallest village in the middle of nowhere, and we were like, if we're going to actually do something serious with band, we need to break out of this cycle that we're going with these pubs and clubs, and just get into an area where we might be able to get his own music out. So we just started trying to do jam nights in Sheffield, and like, I think wood seats, and like anywhere we could just play and get his name out. And I remember like me and Josh who used to be in band, we used to walk around Sheffield going into literally every pub saying we're in a band, can we have a gig, or have you got a jam night, can we come and play? And we just did that until we started building a bit of a following up in Sheffield.
Yeah, and you built that following up, and then, so I take it at these gigs you were singing covers. So when do you think, right, let's write our own tunes?
That started. I can remember writing a tune in back of my maths class in year 7 or 8 with my mate, and it just started from there. Really, wrote a tune, wrote a couple of songs that weren't good.
Called She, weren't it?
Yeah,
something like that.
My mate wrote it. He wrote the lyrics, and I came up with tunes. But it was basically like a Kooks rip-off.
Right.
The music, and then I wrote a couple of others, and then Escapade were pretty early. Chasing Shadows, weirdly, the song we finished as gigs on, were like one of the first tunes I wrote. And I don't know, just we got a couple of songs, and we were excited by the fact that we've come up with a song here, and it is when it's new and you're writing your first songs, it is exciting. It's like it weren't there before, and we've just come up with this, and then people start coming to gigs and singing, and then you're travelling to Leeds and getting a few hundred people together. The whole buzz around it and everything growing is just like a bit addictive.
Yeah.
So we just start to write more songs, and then obviously over time, as you know, with artwork and everything, you just do get better, don't you? But yeah.
It's amazing how it's evolved. You're famously an independent, or as you guys say, DIY band. What does that look like for people that don't perhaps have an understanding of that? What's the opposite to that? And tell us about your way.
Well, we were signed for the first, when we did, like I said, when we started doing his own music and we were building it up, and then we started getting noticed and stuff, we did get signed in 2016 to BMG. And we put his first 2 albums out on the label, but with the second album where we thought this ain't really for us now. And the first album was, I wouldn't say there were any tension or anything because we were flying, but on the second album it became quite clear to us that it weren't going to work for us. Like, we signed a 4-year deal, 4-album deal.
Yeah.
And after the second, we knew we wanted to do it his own way, so we asked to leave and just do it on his own terms. But yeah.
What was it then that you didn't like about being signed?
Just
I have no understanding of it. Tell me about it.
Well, probably more so for Kieran, but even me, look, just having daft conversations, like just the chain of communication is so much longer.
Yeah.
Because you have to pass it through people, and then somebody will have their opinion on it or whatever, or they're like saying Kieran's writing tunes, wrote tunes since beginning, and then they're saying, don't like, it need, what were it? So like, we need something or whatnot.
Yeah, it's like the chain of communication, like Brandon says, is way bigger. Obviously, they're the ones putting the money up and getting you in the studio and paying for everything. But basically, I'd write a tune, I'd make a demo, send it off to an A&R guy who's never wrote a tune before, by the way. So, and then they're sending comments back. I think it needs this. But a lot of the time, it's like a ticking boxes exercise, basically. Like, right, I've heard the Sherlocks demos that they've sent me, and I've given them the notes back. That's what it felt like. I've given them the notes, so they...
You lost your freedom, basically.
Yeah, or it were heading that way, and stuff... It's just frustrating. Like, since then, it's like the last 2 albums... Yeah, the last 2 albums, I've not even finished songs, and we've gone into the studio and just smashed it out in studio, so... There's no set formula, but I think back then it was like... Yeah, we're just taking ages, like, send your songs off, they'll give notes back kind of thing, and it just gets frustrating, especially when you just want to crack on and get stuff out.
Yeah, I'd say biggest thing for me was just, like, trying to get stuff done, because it'd be like, you're waiting to hear back all the time, rather than, because I've always been involved in sorting stuff, it's like, how long does it take to, like, pick phone up or just send an email straight back, be like, yeah, let's do that, make a call, and it's either going to be yeah or no. But with that, it will, even like the second album, we felt, looking back, we missed a bit of a window where we were on the high of his first album, but because the delay of the trying to get us in studio with somebody. Like they'd say, oh, try this producer, try this producer, try this producer. It was like we lost. They call it the difficult second album, but we felt like we'd lost probably 6 months where we could have been in studio recording with someone and then got the album out and gone again. But it felt like everything had mellowed out a little bit before we got a second album out, so we lost that bit of a spike. But probably a good thing in hindsight because we ended up saying let's leave it.
Yeah, it's worked out, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So to now then, if you're looking back, what's the sort of high of the journey? You're obviously on a trajectory now, and you're still growing, and there's progress to be had. You're touring, and you're excelling everywhere. You're there and everywhere. But what so far, if you look back, what's the biggest high?
I think going back to the albums, getting that first album out were a real high. And I think when you release your debut album, I always say this, I feel like there's an extra percentage of hype. So that's not where you actually are. Like, where you actually are is where we are now, where we're not an hype band. We're literally on this 5th album, so we're definitely not that. But with that extra bit of hype, it does create like a real high at the time. Like I can remember, I think we're playing Leeds Fest when his album chart position came in on that first record, and I can remember just like being a bit gutted. We didn't get number 5, we got number 6, which realistically makes no difference. But once that's settled later on in day, we got top 10 record, which is mint. And then playing Leeds Fest to crowd and stuff. So that were a real high for me. And then played some good gigs of it years. Supporting Kings of Leon, that were pretty.
That were nice, yeah. That was Sheffield Arena.
Yeah.
That was class.
And meeting them and stuff. I don't know, there's honestly been loads, like Tramlines in just after COVID coming back. That were our first, that were Trent and Alex's first gig, Wheels. And there were so many people out there, there must have been 40,000 people at main stage, and just walking out with them boys thinking, right,
this is it,
get ready.
We're going to a don't show.
Whatever
you do, don't show. One at lads had only played to about 200 people.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Going don't show.
Old Trent had literally played to a couple of uni students.
Wow.
So
threw him at deep end, didn't we?
that were a high. It didn't have to be meeting people and stuff like that. We walked off stage thinking we did it, boys. And then you just hit ground running. Then it's like we haven't really stopped.
What are the nerves like walking onto stage in front of that many people?
I was more nervous for them.
Really?
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
Yeah, I weren't. I think once you've done it for that long, I always say it, but it's like I'm more nervous if there's nobody there. Like I'm thinking, I better be
yeah.
It's much better when it's rammed. And to a certain point, it's just people after you see. So it's not.
So you don't feel the nerves that much then?
I just think the bigger it is, without sounding arrogant, it actually is easier. It becomes that big. It's like you can't focus on people's faces. It's just that many.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're performing in front of 4 people and one of them's looking at the floor, kicking stuff around, then then it gets to your head. But if there's thousands of people, you're just doing you.
Yeah, you're thinking at least some of them are enjoying it.
I've never looked at it that way.
It's a mad feeling, to be fair. It's like, imagine playing Tramlines on main stage, but there's one geezer, that's it. You're just going to be staring at him, whereas when there's all them people, it just turns into you might as well be staring out to sea. It's just that big. It's like, you can't... It works the opposite way, where nerves just seem to go. It's like...
I do as well.
I always watching people on rides and stuff like that.
Yeah, for festivals.
That's
but
interesting.
When loads of people turn up, I always just think they're here to see us anyway. So it's like they all want you to do well. It's not like they're there to... Well, they're there to check you out, aren't they?
Yeah.
If they might be into band or they might not. And we always see it as a way we can pick some more fans up here, because there's going to be quite a lot of people in that crowd who's probably heard us but don't know us music. So it's good.
What happened with the Yorkshire tea? I've seen that you got loads of Yorkshire tea.
It's weird. I don't even know how that came about.
You got a delivery of how many boxes?
Yeah, well,
they were ridiculous, weren't they?
They've done that about 3 times now.
Yeah.
I'm just referring back to an Instagram story where you stood behind. I'm talking like 500 boxes of Yorkshire tea or something.
I think there were like 10,000 tea bags or something. But they've done stuff that before, and I think it's become a bit of a running joke. I think first time I pretended to be Del Boy. I put like a flat cap on and that, and I was stood in guard and like pretending I'm on a market and going, "Oh, big thanks to Yorkshire Tea for sending us." And then, and then
they literally just send you tea.
Yeah,
we've got so many bags. The first time I see it, by the way, is when it's on Instagram or something like that. Some more tea bags.
Yeah, it is mad. I don't know. I think it's because we've always like prided ourselves on being a Yorkshire band, and that's like one of the first things on our rider as well. Whenever we tour, and it's like Yorkshire Gold tea bags. So yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's the best.
Free tea.
Yeah, free tea.
Let's flip it on its head then. Let's talk about lows, if there has been any. What are your biggest lows of the journey? Because obviously all journeys have highs and lows, and some lows are challenges, and it often makes you stronger, doesn't it? Can you think of any lows that you've had to endure?
I'd say there's probably two. The first one where it felt like a low, and this is before anyone even knew who band were, well, when we turned up, we felt like we were going somewhere, and we played at this place called Bullingdon in Oxford, and we had every major record label and all come down to see us play they call it like a showcase or whatever, and we were supporting the Ordinary Boys, but there were literally 20 tickets sold, 30 tickets sold.
Right.
Our key weren't right well, were and then we'd finally got all these people. At this point we were thinking, oh, this is biggest gig of his life kind of thing. Played this gig, there were nobody there, all like the labels were there, and we just had a shocker, didn't we? We played all right, but it just felt like we'd got them all at wrong gig.
Wrong gig by a mile. Yeah, I don't know even where were it? Oxford,
Bullingdon. Yeah, I think it was Bullingdon.
And usually when people from labels and stuff check you out, they're within a crowd. But I think what was quite funny looking back is, say if there's 2 or 3 labels turned up, they can probably all just see each other like, oh, there's no one even here. But I know what you mean. I think we felt a little bit deflated after that.
I think after that gig, we were just like, we were like, oh, so-and-so's they're not interested at all. They're not interested. But that's normal. But we didn't know that back then. Yeah. So we were thinking, oh, right, let's. At that point, then you're thinking, where do we go from here? Because we've had all labels in front of us. Do we just do it on our own, or where do we go now? Do we try and find another? Because at that point we didn't know how the industry worked. Like looking back now, it didn't really matter at all. But yeah, I think that felt like a low, even though it weren't a low. Looking back on it, but I'd said the only other low would have probably been COVID, wasn't it? When COVID come round.
Yeah.
And that probably we were same thing again. We just got it to second album would come out, and we felt like we were just about to go to America, and then obviously all world stopped.
Yeah.
And then obviously Josh and Andy, who'd been with us for like 10 years, they left, so we literally we lost half at band.
That was just before. That was before COVID as well. Weirdly.
Yeah, it was.
I think they basically just wanted to get normal jobs, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
And then obviously COVID on top of that, and it was like a bit of a double whammy. But in hindsight, when COVID locked everybody down, it worked out pretty well, because it gave us time to plan us moves and be like, right, let's get the band back together.
Yeah. Let's get. Yeah.
So you say those guys that dropped off. So, and they wanted normal jobs, as you say. Is that the transition period where you were like, this needs to work, or we need to get normal jobs, or have you worked alongside building the Sherlocks, or?
No, we went all in, to be fair, didn't we? We were like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right, and we basically put ourselves in a position where we had to make it work anyway. But yeah, I don't think we'd ever. We never even contemplated stopping band for 1 second. We were just like, right, where are we going to go now? But like Kieran said, when it come to lockdown, it kind of helped us in a way, because it was like, regroup and go again. We got a new album. But to be fair, we went down to Rockfield in Wales, in middle of it all. we tell this story all the time, but we'd only met Trent and Alex like maybe once before, twice tops, and then Kieran were trying to teach him album on WhatsApp.
Because we couldn't meet in person, and the rules kept on changing all the time. So like, looking for a new guitarist and bassist, Trent had actually weirdly a year or two before done some backlining for us, but we didn't know him. We forgot because he was there for 1 or 2 gigs swapping guitars, and then that were it. And then Trent got mentioned, same with Alex, and then we literally had one meeting with them both, and it was, but not together either, separately. So it was like Alex played guitar, and it was like, right, he's obviously mint on guitar. Trent played, and it was like he can do bass or guitar, and then it was quite funny because it was like, right, who wants to play guitar and who wants to play bass, because you can both do both.
So did you know him already? How did you recruit
Didn't know
them?
Alex.
Didn't even know
So what's that look like? Do you put an advert out? How do you
come through? His front of house at the time, Nick.
Yeah.
He's like very good friends with Alex, and I think he's a college tutor.
He used to be a college like music teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, so he put us in touch with Trent, but like you say, we won't really call it an audition, but we had a practice with one and then a practice with other, and it was like, right, who's playing what? And then it was like, let's go.
I think Alex as well. Nick, who suggested Alex and Trent, he used to be in a band with Alex back in the day. So that's how Alex came through it. Like, he went, if you're after a guitarist, I can suggest my mate. He's really good on guitar. And it was like, at that point, me and him were racking his brains thinking, do you know any bass players? Like gold dust.
And the band lives, you as individuals all live quite far away from each other, right? How does the dynamic work then? So what's it look like? Tell me what a week looks like, day to day.
He's down Lincoln.
Yeah, I've just moved down Lincoln. Bit like James in that respect, you know, like apparently they live not just in like all over in one country, but like all over the world. Like I think
the band,
yeah.
yeah.
I think one lives in Scotland, one lives in America, in middle of the desert, one lives in Manchester way, and yeah.
You just meet up on tours.
I think they tour. I think they tour and record when they record when they're touring and stuff, because that's the only time they're together and rehearsing. But yeah, with us, we're pretty tight when we get back together. Everything just clicks. We only need like one rehearsal or one good sound check, and then everything's back. I think it's good. We've been playing together for years, and you just.
I think it's down to songwriting as well, which helps it. Like, I'll start the tune off, whereas, you know, with James, I think they'll literally go into a room with nothing. Like, no one's got anything, and then they'll just start jamming, and that's how they come up with the starter tune. Whereas I'll start the tune rolling, might do a demo, and then send it in, and we just go from there, and then change drums, bass.
That's interesting. So through the week then, so you're in Lincoln. You mentioned before we started that you've got a pub. Or?
Yeah, we've got a pub down there now, so it helps. I'm always.
You said we. Is it you or is it the band? Is it you two?
It's me, Kieran, my dad on our side, and then we've got a partner in Lincoln as well. Cool. But yeah, it's full on. Like probably for me, it takes more time up than the band. It's because we're just running everything, run all event side of things, just on phone. Like even on the way here, I just had 3 phone calls about something down there. But yeah, it's very full on.
Yeah.
If I weren't in band, you could easily spend all your time trying to make it better, just doing that. But for me, it's got to a point where I need to make sure the band's the priority, and then the pub's thing. But I have put so much time into both, it's insane, to be fair.
Yeah, I know that feeling, non-stop, but you wouldn't change it for the world.
It's good. It's more rewarding, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think that going back to the band thing, it's like when we're doing it ourselves, it's so much more rewarding when we do well, because you know it's literally just us four and his manager who's done it.
Yeah. So you have a manager. So does your manager let's talk about business now then. So who runs the logistics? So who books the the tours. What's it look like? How does it work? So if you're busy down working on the pub through the week, what you're doing with regards to the band through the week?
It's well, as managers, mine and Brandon's dad, so been there from day one. It's sort of split up into sections really. Like Trent's really good at editing stuff. Me and Alex, call him Fraudy. Nearly called him Fraudy. Me and Alex, Alex does amp repairs and stuff like that, but like he's very like creative side, so he'll chip in with videos and stuff like that. I'm busy writing tunes and like recording bits of stuff and getting, I don't know, bits and bobs done, like on recording things. Brandon's doing like ads and promoting basically.
Marketing and that jazz.
I'll do the odd Instagram post, fire it over, just basically constantly that, just promoting, and he gets it out there. And then my dad's like a jack of all trades really. And I think he enjoys it. He likes to get stuck into like, just driving us about and stuff like that. We could quite easily drive ourselves, or
he's good at organising. I think I'd say that's one of his strengths, is like making sure everyone's in line. But going back to what you're saying, like booking stuff, he'll book all the hotels. He's good at stuff like where we should stay. We never stay in city centres when we on tour. We'll stay a little bit out. Might find like a nice little town or a city, and then we'll get there, go for a few beers and that. And it's good at like organising that side of things. So
it's funny because I employ my dad as well, and if you've got that support, and it's free support, isn't it? And it's just it just aids success, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It's more than, like with us, it's more than the band. Obviously, is his dad. Yeah. So it's nice knowing, like, we're not employing somebody to be his manager, and you're not worrying about them ripping you off. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that don't even come into it. It's just...
Yeah. They'd do it for nothing, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
When we've had this conversation before in a previous episode, but when you're employing somebody, it's really difficult to find someone that's as passionate as you.
100%.
They can be 90% as passionate, and that's fair enough. Like they're never going to be as passionate as you, but your dads are, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you're winning if your dad's on board and doing that sort of thing.
That's the thing. It's like just accepting that nobody cares. We everything as well. Like I think. As soon as you realise that just in life, like nobody cares as much as what you're doing as you. Like, so with a band, we know no one's gonna do it for us.
Yeah.
Like my dad, like say he'd do it for free just because he loves it, he lives for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's living his life through you guys. What does success for you guys look like? Have you achieved success? Is there an end goal? What is success for the Sherlocks?
I think success, personally, it's never really been about the albums and stuff for me. I know it's nice to get a chart position, but it's like when we turn up to venues, like if we can do an academy run in UK or whatever, or like even going to Germany, we're doing like 400 or 500 tickets now, and people are paying money and going out of the way, booking hotels and coming to watch you live. That's success to me anyway. I just think if you can get 2,000 people coming out to watch you, that's it for me.
Yeah, I think the last 5 years or whatever, pretty much since COVID, I think I've changed. I think when we first started, I couldn't really find full happiness in, because I just wanted to be like massive, like I had dreams of the band being absolutely massive, and I still do. But I think, like Brandon says, I think as you get a bit older, you do actually start to appreciate it more, and then you think, now that is success. Like if we can tour around UK and get people in rooms and still basically make a wage from it, from writing tunes and playing tunes, it's a lot. I'm not lifting bricks on a...
Yeah. You have to learn to love the journey, don't you? Because you can become so lost. I've done it in I need to be here or I need to achieve this. And meanwhile, all your days and your hours, your days and your weeks are flying by, and you might never ever get to that point in time or that thing you've got in sight, and all the while you're living your dream without knowing it.
Yeah.
And it's human nature to struggle to to appreciate what you've got. I feel anyway, and reflecting on that amount of people coming to watch you, I suppose, is certainly success in it, and especially if you can make a living from it, like you say.
Yeah.
You're doing what you love, and it works basically.
100%. Yeah. That's the thing, innit? It's like you don't realise times. What's that John Lennon song? Life's what happens while you're busy making other plans.
Yeah.
And it's right. It's like weeks are flying by.
That's
before
crazy.
you know it, it's like, right, we're in April.
Yeah.
Before you know it, it'll literally be like, right,
Christmas.
let's do another Christmas gig or something, and then it's like 2026. So it's important to enjoy it on the way, and I think we're doing that.
We definitely enjoy it. Like I think now we've got to a point as well where we know we've got it's not stable, like, but we know when we go to Europe how many we're going to roughly play to, or in UK we know we're going to have good gigs, so we can enjoy it a little bit more.
Is there a battle? So I'm just relating to how my business works. Is there a battle in like thinking, I need to sustain this? I've got this many people that currently come to watch. I need to post something. I need to stay visible to these people. I need to release something new so that I'm on trend. You've got competitors doing other things. Is that a battle of yours, or do you ever get to a point where that's not a problem?
I think it's definitely changed. We have these conversations all the time. It's definitely changed over the last, I'd say, 3 or 4 years with like social media, and it's like you're not. When we first started, it were like you're in a band, right? You make the songs the best you can, and go and play at best gigs you can. Now it's like you've got to, especially being independent. It's like you've got to do all these content videos and everything. It's
more about promotion than the quality of the.
We see people and we know people who've got like millions and millions of streams, or like hundreds of thousands of followers, but they'll not be able to sell 50 tickets. So it's like you can become big on social media, but that's why I'm proud of our fan base and our band, because when we actually go out on tour, there's real people like turning up, and we'll do like thousands of tickets, which is like
it's evidence of the quality in it.
Yeah, so we don't want to be. We'd never want to. Obviously, you got to go with times, or you get left behind. But we're never going to be one of them bands where it's like it turns into like a gimmick, or we do something where it's not true to us. So we just take little bits and bobs of it and have a laugh with it most of the time, don't we?
When you say, if you, I don't know, you're gigging somewhere, so I take it your dad, your manager, will be selling tickets. Would that be right, or be on a platform or somewhat?
Online.
Yeah. So, are you guys forever checking how many tickets are sold, or because I'm thinking from my perspective, taking it way back. So, the first sale or the first few sales that come in, you celebrate it like it's the biggest thing in the world, and then 5 years, 6 years down the line, you're doing hundreds and whatever it might be in your circumstance. And do you celebrate each ticket the same? Do you check on it, or is it just
come on?
Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like, hey, have you become accustomed to having this following, or do you still get that same feeling?
No, I think because times are changing as well in the music industry in terms of like tickets, it's different as well, because people tend to buy late now. It'll just tick along, and then it'll get to like last week or two, and people behaviours now is like, even going back to the pub, you see a spike so much towards when the gig's coming up now. It's frightening. Like everyone's like looking on the phone going, what am I doing this weekend? Oh, so and so's there. Oh, buy some tickets. They don't want to put the money up front just in case either something better comes up or something comes up and they can't go. So I feel like even from when we started like doing bigger gigs in 2017, it's changed so much now. So it's like as we run up to this talk, we get updates from his agent every week, and we'll see it just doing its same thing, tick along, and then promoters will say, it'll spike to it. It always does.
Yeah. It's funny that it's funny. So we work with a marketing team, and we're running an exhibition coming up, and they said to me the same thing. He said, when you announce it, you'll have a spike,
Yeah.
then it'll go into a lull, and then a week or two beforehand, it'll spike again.
So it does, yeah.
So knowing that's great, because 3 weeks before you might be thinking, oh dear. But then knowing that spike's coming, I suppose, and that's the trend, and it's interesting. So you mentioned earlier about getting a number in the chart. For someone like me, what does that, for me to understand what that means to the band? So does it affect revenue? Do you get paid from? What happens if you reach number one, for example? What does the band get from becoming a number one album?
I think that's something we're trying to figure out ourselves. I think it's changed over the years. I think, well, if you could read, like, I don't know, like the charts as a whole, if you look back to the days of Beatles and stuff like that and stats, and it's like, oh, this knocked this off the number one spot and it stayed there for 3 weeks. It's history, and it was massive. And like hearing my dad like top at Pops, watching stuff like that, everything like that was so important back then, and chart positions were. Whereas these days, I don't know, it's a good question that I don't even think we've got the answer. If we got number one, it'd be unbelievable to say we've got one. But does it change anything in grand scheme of things? I don't know.
Don't know. I just think.
Is that all it is?
I think it is now. I think like it probably give our agent a bit of ammunition to go, oh, get them on this festival or do this and that.
I'm with you.
But apart from that,
it won't guarantee it, would it? It's just like
no. You ask like most people now, and they'll not know who number one is, like in album charts or whatever. Like I never know who's number one in album charts unless it's like a bit of a story or a band in our lanes going for a number one, and I see it on social media.
Yeah.
But I don't think it means. It definitely don't mean as much as Rick used to. No way.
No.
It's the streaming that's come in and basically killed it all for bands anyway. Because you got all these big acts getting millions and millions of streams, and it's like I think it's 1,000 streams as one album sale. So if you're getting millions of streams, you're selling thousands of albums. We are selling them. And bands like us or bands in general just can't compete with that. So
where does your band's revenue come from? Is it just ticket sales?
Just live.
Yeah.
Just playing gigs.
Merch.
You've got your merch.
And merch, that's it. That's pretty much it.
Mm.
There might be a little bit on streaming, but nothing. Like, not...
Like 20 pence or something.
Yeah. Might get 20 pence every now and again. But yeah, I think it's just all live now. Festivals and just gigging. Just getting out on road and that.
Which emphasises the importance of the social media and building your exposure up, so these people come across you and then go and watch you. You've got 60,000 followers on Insta and 64, I've done my research, 64 on
I didn't even know
on
that.
Facebook. I think, I haven't written it down here, but you've got 78,000 subscribers on Spotify, or listeners.
I don't know.
Whichever one.
Yeah.
But it's massive following, isn't it? It's an absolute massive following.
Yeah, it's one that's took years and years, but it's not. I think we've just enjoyed the ride, and it's nice. It's nice to be a band in this day and age. We feel like we've got the foundations, whereas a lot of these bands, like Brandon said earlier, you can have 100 comments on a post and loads of TikTok followers and stuff like that, but if you can't get people in the rooms, it's all a little bit smoke and mirrors, really.
Yeah.
Whereas we're the complete opposite.
I know.
We've probably got 3 comments on an Instagram post. Well, it's probably because he's posting Yorkshire tea stuff all the time. And then we'll go and play in Manchester and get a couple of thousand people through the door. So we're a bit old school in that.
But that's nice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stress with social media. Do you feel the stress of it? Who runs the social media? Is it yourself?
Yeah, I'll run.
Kieran, you do the content, but mostly.
Yeah, I'll just post it. But, well, Kieran either makes it or Trent sends it me, and then I'll just post it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't say there's much stress. Not stress as in like I don't know, were you just referring to like people commenting stuff, or you mean just like getting it out, or?
So me personally, I'm thinking I've got to get this out at this time.
Yeah.
To get the maximum exposure, to make maximum sales.
Yeah.
Then wake up, same thing.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, you touched on earlier. It's becoming, social media is becoming a massive tool to make sales in whatever department it is, and I just wondered how that weighed on you.
Yeah.
Well, I think another thing as well is it's hard. You don't want to come across like you just sell.
Yeah.
That's what we think sometimes. Like that's the risk where it's like, are all these people that follow Sherlocks account on Instagram, as far as social media, are they thinking, bloody hell, like, it's just sell. They're constantly trying to sell. So it's looking at different ways where it's like, I don't know, maybe post some videos of me or Alex like playing riffs and stuff like that, because that could get a bit frustrating.
Content that's valuable to.
It depends what people want. Yeah, I think the biggest, not biggest stress, but the biggest thing I've found again over the years is having to post across all the different ones now. There's like Facebook, Twitter or X, whatever they call it, and then Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and it's like
it's relentless.
You're posting,
you need a full team just to.
Back in the day, we were posting just on Facebook, and that'd be it.
Yeah.
Now it's like 5 or 6 of them, and then it's like, oh, you've got to. I'll say to Trent or whatever, we need to do it in a different format because it'll.
Yeah.
It's like if TikTok and them YouTube shorts and stuff perform different to if you just post it on thing, but
or people on Instagram tend to like this kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's just like, Jesus Christ,
it's hard work, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's hard work. Do you review your creations in terms of your tunes? Do you release one and then perhaps think, oh, could have changed lyrics here, or could have played this differently, or not?
I don't.
You don't?
No, I don't.
No, I don't. No. Just because
Perfect.
it's too late, it's gone.
Yeah.
I think Gav, actually, who we did his first album with, told us a story where he'd made a record with somebody, mixed, mastered, and then fast forward, it's released, and then he gets a phone call like saying, "Hey up, Gav, just quickly, I want to change this," and he's like, "You can't, like, it's in shops."
That's happening.
So no regrets as far as that. I think. Like, I'll finish a lot of lyrics in studio, and you can only come up with what you think the best thing is at the time, and then you just got to go with it, unless you have got time to change it, but we'll stick with it. I don't think we've changed that much. Might have changed it one lyric on this record before. When we came out at the studio, it was something I'd sung before, so I spoke to Dave and like, just change that word, but that's probably the furthest we've been with it.
I think there's a saying as well in music, it's like you never finish a song, you just abandon it, because you could still be.
You could always.
Well,
change
you could just
it.
be doing it. We could still be tweaking first album now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's got to get to a point where it's like, we're happy with this. This sounds good.
Yeah.
Box it off. Next thing.
Yeah. Do they take some learning then? Because I suppose you've got to rehearse every song over and over. And how many songs do you have? Like, is it 50? Is it 100? Like,
Good question.
Yeah.
I don't actually know.
it's got to be up there though, hasn't it? And how do you? So when you're making your set list, I guess you play the ones that you. Do you remember all the songs?
It's weird, Wheels, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's because we're getting to that territory now where we've got 5 albums. Like you said, these 10 or 11 or 12 on first one on each album. So we've got to be at least pushing 60 with B-sides and like just singles that we've released.
3-4 singles from each album. If you want to play them, set list starts filling up, doesn't it? It's like.
We always talk about like how hard it must be for bands like, you know, like Stereophonics. Like, I went to watch them in Wrexham, and this was probably 4 years ago. Every single tune were a single, and it was one of them where it like the kick into a tune, and it weren't like an obvious single, but it was like, that song's massive, and it's like, how do they pick their set list? Must be not a bit like Arctic Monkeys or whatever. Like, how many albums they done now? Like 7. And it's like, how do they pick their set list? Crazy.
Have you ever gone wrong on stage?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Lots of times.
What's the protocol to dealing with that? You just laugh it off and say
Depends
something
what
funny.
we do.
Yeah.
Kicked
probably.
into wrong tunes.
In truth, it doesn't matter, does it? And it shows that it's like
It's real.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I think if you depending on how you handle it, I mean, what else are you going to do? Like, start crying
Yeah.
or storm off? It's like, with more times than not, it's probably me who kicks into the wrong tune. I'll look at the set list. That always throws me when there's like, I don't know, say if it's 2 songs starting with the same letter.
Yeah.
Does me in sometimes.
No, it does me in as well. I've done it as well. I've kicked into the wrong song and missed a tune. And then we've also had it on other footing where we've had a backline tech who's put different set lists out for us all. Yeah. So we've all looked at a different set list. So it'll get to a certain point in set then where he's got something wrote different to me. Yeah. So then we automatically kick into the wrong tune.
Or say if Brandon kicks into the wrong tune, you're half thinking, what are we doing here? Are we switching tunes or are we...
Do we go for it?
And then we've had stuff where, like, say if he's supposed to be going dook, is equivalent to going dook. So you're doing like offbeat and you're all like trying to get back on time and it's like, what is going off here? But no, it's funny.
It's part of parcel. Yeah. Let's talk about major influences. Do you have any? Who are your childhood heroes? Who do you look up to?
Childhood heroes. I was always mad into Libertines for some reason. Even though Arctic Monkeys were like a big thing growing up, and after Libertines, for some reason I just got obsessed with Libertines in secondary school. I was just absolutely obsessed with him. Don't know.
I would say I was big into Libertines. I was big into Milburn, Arctic Monkeys. I think that was my dad though. I think my dad come home in his work van one day and he had like a Milburn demo CD, like really early, and we're like, yeah. And I think it was at that point when we started getting into music and that. And obviously when Arctic Monkeys exploded, there was no way you could ignore that, no matter where you're from, especially from around our area. I remember my mate Pat Desborough showed me a tune on his D600 or whatever it was. He'd be like, Fake Tales of San Francisco or something. He'd be like, great tune. Yeah. But like everyone were into it then. Probably them growing up anyway. But when we first started band, we got into jam quite big as well. We were playing loads of jam tunes, so we'd go through their back catalogue and just listen to that constantly.
Who have you met? Who's the most famous person you've met?
Globally. Whose face is the most famous? I don't know. We met Liam Gallagher. He's pretty famous, isn't he? Yeah. Caleb from Kings of Leon. Met Richard Ashcroft. Pretty cool. Who else? Libertines boys. Met Pete.
I'm trying to think of anyone out of music. Peter Crouch.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Got invited down to do
Crouch Fest, wasn't it?
Crouch Fest, yeah. A guy called Chris Stark, he used to be on BBC Radio 1. He's on, I think
they've got a podcast, haven't they?
Capital. Yeah, and he basically just shot us a message and said, come down, kind of thing. And we were just chilling in the dressing room, weren't we? Cracking him a few beers and that, but yeah. I don't know, loads. We've met loads of it years and that, but...
Oh, Matt Elders from Arctic Monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Matt, he came down to watch us in LA a few years back.
Yeah.
Not a good few years back, actually. Just before COVID, came down with his mum and dad. Well, we're actually... He says, oh, Matt Elders is coming down to the gig.
His dad?
Of course he is. And he went, no, he's coming down with his mum and dad. I went, his mum and dad might come. I went, he won't come. And then, sure enough, we're on stage, kicked into the first tune, looked up, and he walked through down. I'm like, no. He has.
His dad's literally just rang me up way here as well. About some scarves and that. But, yeah.
Right, guys. Thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for
brilliant catching up with you. We delved in there. Quite cool.